Welcome to today's broadcast. Today we are going to be talking about 3 ways to reverse insulin resistance. And I'm going to give you 3 tips, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about how it is that you can utilize these 3 tips to ensure that you are going to reverse your insulin resistance if that is in fact what you are frustrated with. So welcome. My name is Diane. We have my name up here so you guys can see it. My name is Diane. I am a fasting mindset coach for women who are going through a season in life where they're feeling frustrated with how their body is kind of responding and reacting to some changes that are going on in life. So the aging woman aspect is really any woman who feels frustrated with, again, how her hormones are changing and would like to incorporate some lifestyle changes to make things better for herself. So no brackets as far as the aging goes. All women are welcome here, of course. But today we are going to be talking about 3 ways to reverse insulin resistance. So I have been an insulin resistant woman pretty much my whole life. It started very early for me and progressively got worse as I started to age. I had my second child at 40. And at that time was at risk of gestational diabetes just simply because of my age. I was able to dodge that luckily, but then went into perimenopause about 4 or 5 years after I had my daughter and ended up a pre-diabetic. So the way that it goes chronologically is we usually end up feeling a little bit hypoglycemic, maybe in our younger years where we're feeling really dependent on food and have to eat every couple of hours. Then we kind of transition into insulin resistance. Then we become pre-diabetic, diabetic, and then ultimately what ends up happening with the sugar-related issues that we're dealing with is we become Alzheimer's patients. And that really is being classified now as type 3 diabetic states. And 2/3 of all Alzheimer's patients are, in fact, women. So let's get a handle on how it is we can reverse insulin resistance and see if we can avoid all of those things that happen as they stack on as we go through life. So insulin resistance, 3 ways that you can reverse it. Fast long, feast well, and train smart. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. And I put the enough here because the enough, or what you have to do in these 3 categories, is really dependent on you, your body chemistry, where you are in how deep into insulin resistance you are, or maybe the fact that you've already been diagnosed as in a diabetic condition, or you're suffering from some of the precursors to Alzheimer's, like memory loss and cognitive decline and those kind of things. So the enough part is determined by you, where you are and where you want to go in reversing your insulin resistance. So fast long. Why do we need to fast long? Fasting long helps us drain the tanks. So when we're insulin resistant, what that means is that our body's response to a chemical reaction to something coming in to be digested is out of balance, is out of whack. And when we're insulin resistant, our cells that house glucose are backed up. And so that backup ends up going into our bloodstream. So we have to fast long enough to drain the tanks and empty out those cells so that they start to function properly. We have to feast well enough to control what is in storage. So if you are feasting in a way that doesn't allow your body the opportunity to utilize the macronutrients that you're taking in, then what happens is you end up keeping these tanks up here stored, and you don't have the opportunity for them to drain out because you're taking in more than your body can utilize in a 24-hour period. And then we need to train smart. And by train, I mean utilize our body in a way that we can take what's in storage and force it to be used as energy. So when we move our body is dependent on us to create energy from within, right? So we have stored glycogen in our muscles, we have stored glycogen in our liver. And when we move our body, those things in storage are forced out into our bloodstream, and our body has the opportunity to use that up as a source of supporting our body and what it needs energy-wise. So we need to figure out what that's going to take for us if our goal is actually to reverse insulin resistance with fasting long, feasting well, and training smart. So those are 3 very basic things. You can leave right now and you can figure this out, and you can definitely reverse your insulin resistance situation. If you want to go into a little bit more depth and a little bit more detail, let me explain to you what that means a little further. So fasting long enough allows us the opportunity to use calories that we have consumed in the past, right? So we know that our last meal is when our insulin levels are at their highest. And at the 12-hour mark, our insulin levels are at their lowest. If we have done nothing to interrupt the process of insulin just going on its own natural decline. Every time we do something to break a fast or create a new insulin response, we get these little spikes. So if you're eating every couple of hours, or you're starting your day with coffee and creamer, or you're having little snacks throughout the day, each one of those things has a little hiccup in insulin being released into your system. And so you never have the opportunity to use what's in storage because you're constantly creating new opportunities for calories or energy to be present, right? So this is what happens when we're constantly snacking or putting things in what we would call our fasting window. If we're fasting long enough past the 12-hour mark when our insulin is at its lowest, we have the opportunity for all of this time frame for our body to use what it has in storage or drain the tanks. We're not creating new opportunities for calories or energy to be present, and we are creating an opportunity for our body to be, in a sense, forced to go in and find what we have packed away in storage or drain out the tanks. Then we have our break fast opportunity, which is specific to the time in which we determined is long enough, and we create a new spike in our insulin with our meal, and then we enter into a new fasting opportunity where we can utilize what's in the storage. So the enough part depends on you and the results that you're hoping for. If you're currently fasting for X amount of hours and you're not seeing the results that you were hoping for, then that's the time that you want to look at maybe extending your fast, maybe an hour or two, and see if that's enough to get you to that place where you can utilize what's in storage and drain those tanks. Okay, so what do I mean by feast well or feast well enough? So this is where we store calories, or we have that insulin response, or that spike, is we put something into our body and it creates a new opportunity for us to not have to rely on what's in storage. So something's readily available for us. How well we feast will determine how much actually gets put back into storage that we haven't used in our fasted state. So I like to teach what's called the keto-like approach to feasting, meaning we're taking all of the really common sense philosophies and approach about the ketogenic diet without having to go to what I would call extremes in managing what it is we're consuming. So I like to recommend higher fat, so naturally occurring fat, so not processed fats, but like oils and nuts and avocados and olives and those kind of things. Have that be on the higher end of what it is you're doing in your nutritional window. Moderate to low amounts of protein, so you're not taking in so much protein that your body's not utilizing it, and again, putting that into storage. And then really being conscious about our carbohydrate intake so we don't have to manage what it is we're doing calorie-wise or macro-wise, but we're being really, really smart about what choices we're making in our feasting window so that we can utilize these stored calories as fast as possible in our next fasting window, right? So lots of vegetables are the carbohydrates that we want to take in. And then we want to keep things simple with everyday food. So you don't have to get fancy with recipes. You don't have to buy specially marketed type of foods to consume in your feasting window. Just simple everyday foods that are higher in fat, moderate to low in protein, and very conscious when you're consuming your carbohydrates, because we know that those carbohydrates, if you take in too many, will in fact go into storage, and it takes that much longer in that fasting window to utilize those. And then training smart. So I call training smart the opportunity we have to force the usage of calories that are in storage. So we know we have a metabolic burn rate. There are a certain amount of calories that naturally just get utilized just to keep our body functioning and moving throughout the day. When we put ourselves in a training type of atmosphere, or we move beyond the everyday tasks, we're forcing our body to tap into storage to be able to support that extra activity. I always recommend working out or training with a heart rate monitor, or at least being very aware of what your preserved rate of exertion is. So do you feel winded when you're working out? Is your heart rate actually rising? Are you using some sort of tracking monitor to see that you are raising your heart rate elevation, so that you are tapping into the opportunity for your body to be forced to go in and find that energy to support your activity? I always recommend that you move your body to change your body chemistry. So getting up and going for a walk, moving about your house, not being in that sedentary, like sit down position all day, where you're not forcing your body to utilize energy that's sitting there readily available. Trust me, the energy that you're not utilizing that's sitting there readily available just goes right back into storage. And that storage is where we get back into that place where we're insulin resistant, and those cells are so packed full of sugar molecules that we're not using that we end up having the problem of having that backup in our system. So move your body to change your body chemistry. And then we need to change our mindset about what fitness means to us. Functional fitness should always be the aim that we have in our mindset about how it is we're going to move our body to prepare ourselves for our future, right? No more food choice punishment when you're thinking about how it is you're going to train your body in a fitness type environment. There's not enough energy in our system, there's not enough hours in our day, and there's not enough left in our emotional well-being to exercise away poor nutritional choices. We know that doesn't work. We really need to focus on, if I move my body this way, how will this prepare me for tomorrow and my tomorrows coming forward, right? And no longer using fitness as a way to make ourselves feel bad about decisions we made yesterday about food. And training smart is that third component to the fasting long, feasting well, and training smart that will really make the biggest difference for you when you're trying to reverse a situation like insulin resistance or any sort of sugar-related type of disease that you are suffering from. Now remember, the enough part is determined by you. If you're currently doing something and you're not getting the results that you were hoping for, then you need to push this enough a little farther. So many women come to me frustrated about fasting for 16 hours and feasting for 8. Or even fasting for 18 hours and feasting for 6, and they don't understand why their body is not losing the weight or the body fat that they had hoped for, or based off what somebody else was showing as an example for what they were doing. And that's because that enough is not enough for you, and you haven't created this opportunity yet for you to tap in to the storage that you have available for a long enough period of time to affect the positive change that you're hoping for. Look at how it is you're feasting. Is your feasting window still consuming too many protein grams? Is it too much of carbohydrates that you're consuming? Maybe not enough fat, or the fact that maybe your feasting window is just too long and you have too many opportunities to make choices that could be catching you off guard. And are you moving your body? Are you moving your body in a way that's going to force you to go in and utilize and just literally pull out of storage what your body can benefit from in a state of exercise? Monitoring your heart rate is key for that as well. You want to make sure that you're at least 50% of your maximum training heart rate zone, and then going all the way up to about 80 or 85, and then monitoring that as well to make sure that you're being as effective with the time that you're training as you possibly can. So you can reverse insulin resistance 3 simple ways: fast long enough, feast well enough, and train smart enough, until you are reaping the benefits of what those 3 categories can do for you. And the enough part is plugged in by you, the goals that you have and where your starting point is, and then what you want to maintain for your life as well. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about what insulin resistance is and how it is you can really positively affect what it is that you want to change with your overall health and well-being. So if you haven't done so yet, please do me a favor, leave me a comment in the comment section. I want to answer your questions today. I want to help you get started with this lifestyle for sure, because insulin resistance is a very serious condition that we need to think about beyond just how our body looks externally. And we really need to start thinking about how our body is functioning internally, chemistry-wise. And do we have the opportunity to change some things that we might not be happy for? Knowing that we go from hypoglycemic to insulin resistance to pre-diabetic to diabetic to ending up Alzheimer's patients. And I've talked to so many women every single day who tell me the stories about watching their own mothers have a horrible end of their life season with having to deal with Alzheimer's. And if we can start working on reversing some of those things today, then we don't have to have that same story being told by our daughters about how it is that we age. And that is ultimately the goal that we have here. We want to make sure that we are aging successfully. So let's see who we have here. Cheryl, good girlfriend. It's always good to see you. Hope Hawaii is doing well for you. I miss having you around in our mindset shift group. And Danny, happy Monday. Great topic. Awesome girlfriend. And I know you're doing great things as well as an October 2018 grad. So on Wednesday, what we're going to talk about is how we keep this lifestyle, right? If we are fasting long, feasting well, and training smart, how do we establish this as a lifestyle for ourselves so that we can maintain all of the benefits that we have reaped just from the beginning stages of learning how to intermittent fast correctly to reverse the signs of aging? So make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel and that you're following us on Facebook so that when we go live on Wednesday, you can continue this discussion with us as well. Sandra, great information. I'm in your new IF January class. I'm loving your format there. Awesome, Sandra. I know you guys are doing well. You're only on I think we're on day 2, I believe. And you guys are already doing great, and you're picking up the concepts very quickly. So you guys are going to see some great results as well, and I can't wait to start sharing them here in our community. Donna, this is awesome. We'll definitely sign up for your course next month. Great. All the information about our next course is already up and available. So I always say, if you know you're going to join us for the next class, just get yourself registered so you don't miss out. It will start February 27th, so the last Saturday of February. Like I said, registration is already available, so you can always get yourself registered early. And then Janet, good to see you. Also, Janet is one of our star students from back in 2017, I believe. She's done some amazing things with her health as well. Okay, so I got to run. Today's conversation is really quick. You can go back and review this as many times as you need to here on YouTube or Facebook to remind yourself of what's available to you and the possibilities you have to really take control of your health and overall well-being as you're going through this aging season. And that if you're not happy with something, or you're not happy with the way your body is aging, you do have the power to reverse all that. You just have to expose yourself to the right resources and then make sure that you understand why it is you're doing it, so that you'll keep your head in the game and reframe the way your mindset has really been trained to believe about how you're supposed to take care of yourself, and you can establish a new way that will really work for you in the long haul. Susan, great topic. She's in our mindset course. Love the trifecta: fast, long, feast well, train smart. Yeah, it is. You need all 3 of those components. Wednesday, we're going to talk also about how you push and pull on those levers to really make all 3 of them work for you beautifully simultaneously. And so we'll touch on that Wednesday as well. Thanks for jumping on with me today. I always appreciate you guys being here with me. I always appreciate you guys continuing in the conversation with us in the comment section. And like I said, make sure you're subscribed and you're following so you can catch us on Wednesday when we do part 2 of reversing insulin resistance. Have a great Monday, you guys. I'll see you around.